Okay, welcome everyone. You've joined the Math Tech panel for the STEM Career Expo at Fermilab for our 13th year. Fermilab, if you are not familiar with us, is a U.S. Department of Energy laboratory. We are housed west of Chicago. The building you see in our screen share there is Wilson Hall, where the face-to-face STEM Career Expo would have been held on April 7th this year. So we hope we'll see you another time for our face-to-face experience. Fermilab is America's particle physics and accelerator laboratory about 30 miles west of Chicago. We're internationally known, and a lot of people really think of Fermilab as a place where STEM is so integrated, it's necessary for all of the work that we do in bringing the world together to solve the mystery of matter, energy, space, and time. It's a fascinating series of research that we do and applications, so we hope you'll visit our URL there. We do also have a very long history of partnering with educators, and for the STEM Career Expo, we have partnered with several area high schools to offer the STEM Career Expo for high school students annually. Our on-site STEM Career Expo over the last 12 years has hosted as many as 180 STEM professionals from many STEM organizations, large and small. I know this is an unusual year, but we did not want to lose the opportunity to share the inspiring stories and the important work that our STEM partners are doing. And we also didn't want to lose the opportunity to encourage students. We want you to keep striving and aiming to work in STEM careers using STEM knowledge and skills to solve current and future problems. We want to thank our education partners that represent 3 different counties in the Chicagoland area: Batavia High School, Geneva High School, Glenbard West High School. Sue Sanders has been one of our moderators, York High School, and Yorkville High School. And today, Nikki Maestrick will be our moderator for this video. In addition to the STEM Career Expo, the Fermilab Education and Public Outreach Office offers several other programs. We hope you'll visit our URL for more information about resources for students, parents, and the public in general. In addition to thanking our education partners, I want to thank our STEM partners. As you can see, we have many of them and many organizations that have worked with us. We have 5 panels that will be offered through these online videos, and there will be a question and answer form for students to get more information from the people participating through these videos. The videos will be available throughout the coming year, and this is the URL where you'll be able to submit those questions and get answers and watch the other videos. Specifically, we'd like to thank our panelists. We have asked the panelists to tell you how they arrived at their current career, about what their education path was like, maybe a little bit about their high school years as well, and really, what do they do in their day-to-day jobs? We have 5 panels, as I said. Science Panel 1 includes an environmental scientist, a flavor chemist, a lab analyst, a meat scientist, and a neutrino physicist. Panel 2 included an accelerator physicist, an arborist, a geodetic scientist, a geologist, and a plant scientist. This is the Math Tech panel, where we will have an actuary. Joe Wurzberger is joining us, a computer engineer with Marco Manbelli, a computer scientist who is Lorena Lobato, a data dissemination specialist who is David Schuler, and an experience designer, Sarah Koalis. We've also organized 2 engineering panels. Engineering Panel 1 includes an acoustics engineer, a chemical engineer, an engineering physicist, a fuels engineer, and a mechanical engineer. In our final panel, Engineering Panel 2, has an aerospace engineer, a chemical engineer, a civil engineer, a cryogenics engineer, and an innovation specialist. So now we will go to some presentations by the professionals, and we will be starting with an actuary, Joe Wurzberger.
Thank you, Susan, and thank all of you who are watching this video. I'm going to probably spend a good portion of my 5 minutes talking about my journey to become an actuary, but I don't want to do what I sometimes do and forget probably the most important part, which is what the heck is an actuary? I don't want to get to the end and have left that out. So an actuary is a business professional who quantifies, projects, and strategizes around risk. A lot of us are in the insurance industry or the consulting world, but you can also find actuaries in education, government. I myself am with the Society of Actuaries, so that's in the nonprofit world, the membership association around actuaries. It's really exciting, fulfilling way to take a love of math, but also a well-rounded skill set that hopefully involves an interest in business and interpersonal skills and things like that, and find a real fulfilling profession. In terms of me, my guess is if you're watching this video, you and I have at least one thing in common, and that is that when I was in high school, I found that I was good at math, and I enjoyed math. Not like Good Will Hunting style. I didn't go around doing math problems on chalkboards late at night. It wasn't necessarily the most like my favorite fun thing to do, but I found that I was pretty good at it and I got a lot of satisfaction out of doing it. And as I looked around, I noticed that not everyone in the world shared that. So I saw kind of a competitive advantage, something that I thought would make sense to utilize as I searched for a career. The only thing is I had no idea what that career was going to be. I didn't know necessarily what you could do with math. I knew you could be a math teacher. There's a handful of other things, you know, accountant, engineering, things like that. Anyway, long story short, I went off to college. I majored in math without any idea what I was going to do with it. So fortunately, I did have a professor where I went to Valparaiso University who had an interest in actuarial science. So he kind of introduced that to me as I looked around at all these best career lists that you see out there, you know, that weigh a whole lot of factors together. I saw that actuary was always up near the top of those lists. Still didn't know what it was, but I liked the fact that it was on those lists. So that was on my list of possibilities, as was teaching. And to condense this part of the story, I flip-flop back and forth between wanting to be a teacher and wanting to be an actuary over those next few years. I actually did start off as a high school teacher, but I made the pivot to being an actuary not too long after I was out of college, and it just turned out to be the best decision that I think I could have made for me myself. I like the fact that it leverages my math abilities, my math interests, but it also does a whole lot more than that. Like I've been very involved in the business world, making strategic decisions, not being kind of stuck in a corner cranking out numbers, but really kind of being on the front lines of a lot of exciting things. I started my career as an actuarial consultant. I was focused primarily on defined benefit pension plans. I then went to an insurance company, had a lot of different roles there, some pricing products, some doing more financial reporting, projections, those sorts of things. And I find myself now in a very unique role at the Society of Actuaries, where I'm had a lot of responsibilities for the profession at large. Actually, we have over 30,000 members internationally. We're doing a lot of research, continuing education for actuaries, all those sorts of things. I get to do a fair amount of public speaking, usually out in front of people, not in my house like this, but a lot of pretty exciting things that I've gotten the opportunity to do and would want for you to at least consider so that you can have some of those opportunities. To give the full breadth of the story, you don't just kind of sign up and then you're an actuary. There is a pretty long credentialing process that you have to go through, exams you need to pass and things you need to learn to do it. But one of the exciting things about the profession is that you can start working full time right after you get out of college. In fact, most people who become actuaries get a pretty good paying internship while they're in college, and then they can start taking the exams while they're still in college and while they're working full time. So it's not one of those things that you have to, you know, devote years and years to grad school and all these things and get a mountain of debt, and then you finally start getting to get out there. You get to work and learn and take these exams and get your credentials kind of simultaneously. You really get immersed in it from the start. So at risk of going on forever and ever about this, because I'm passionate about this, I love it. I'd love to answer your questions, but I did set my iPhone timer and see I've got about 10 seconds left. So I am going to stop now and pass it off to Marco. I think Marco might still be on mute.
I unmuted myself, but somehow I got muted again. Anyway, thank you, Joe. And hello, everyone. So I'm Marco Manbelli. I'm a computer engineer, and I work at Fermilab. I started being curious and sharing passion for math and scientific things, and also being curious about how things work, interested in mounting and mounting things. And this is something that I had since a kid and growing up in school. I didn't have really my career path already in mind. Actually, also in high school, I was really undecided between different topics. So it was not easy to choose at the end, mainly because I liked a little bit of everything. Anyway, I decided to go to college and do computer engineering because it allowed me to have a balance a little bit with the hardware, being still able to do some electronics and deal with machines, and also to work on informatics. Actually, at the time when I started, computer engineering was fairly new. A lot of people previously were doing like electronics and then working in computing. Actually, the career that I'm doing now has a lot of path and intermixing. So you can end up doing different things with computer engineering, or you can end up doing programming, working with computers, starting with math, with physics, and with a lot of other topics. So really what you choose at the beginning and how you get to a career can vary a lot. So in my case, I did computer engineering, and then I did an internship that was actually at Fermilab, but then I decided to go back. I'm originally from Italy and continue some studying there, again in computer engineering to do a PhD. And after that, though, I was interested in coming back to the US. And so I applied to U Chicago for a postdoc and then for working there, and finally ended up at Fermilab. So my career, it's kind of more a long academic career going through different steps. And but as I said, you can arrive here, some people directly with a bachelor or in computing or other topics. My current profession at the lab, I do different things. I do a lot of programming, so basically coding, designing, architecting the systems. I do integration. I started working also actually during the internship and then during the Chicago time on distributed systems where computers are placed in different locations and they interact with each other. So you know about clouds, you know about apps where you interact with other people or other servers that are far from you, and all these things. And I liked because they add this dimension of complexity where things are not all in the same place, and you have to deal with a lot of surprises from computers interacting in different places. And that's what I'm doing now by leading a project that provides computing resources for science. So the project is called LightInWMS, and we provide a virtual cluster taking computer from universities and laboratories that share them, and also from Amazon or Google, and make them available for the scientists that have to do run simulation or analysis. So in my day-to-day, I have some coding instead, some thinking how the system works and how its performance can be improved or problems can be solved. Have also a lot of meetings with people a little bit all over the world. That's a perk of working in international collaborations. So I like the environment at Fermilab itself, and also with the experiments where you deal with people from all over and a lot of different cultures. And we solve problems together, decide how to move forwards with things, and then make this happening. So this is an aspect of computing that I like, that you have this creative aspect of building things and seeing them running and working and helping, contributing to something like the progress of research and the use that scientists use in my case. So, as I said, the career can vary a lot. It's not that if you start with computer engineering, I did some hardware at the beginning and working with electronics and programming them and low-level programming. Now I do more software and high level, so it can vary. And there is a lot of intermingling with similar career paths and bachelors that you can make. If I can give you a suggestion, it's just follow what you like at the beginning and feel free then to change and dare into moving into new direction and whatever will happen through your career path in life. Be always open to learn new things and curious about what you do and what you can do.
Thank you,
again.
Marco. Thank you, Marco.
The next is...
we'll have Lorena next.
Hello, everyone. I'm really glad to be here. So my name is Lorena Dovato, and I'm from Spain. I've been working at Fermilab for the past 2 years. And I think that I started to be like really curious and really interested in math and technology since I was a kid, because my father actually is a mechanical engineer. And I remember that he was always giving me and preparing some like presents made by himself, like electronic stuff. And I was always really curious about. As well, I was always a really restless person. So I was always like very curious and try to always, you know, like be interested in, apart from the presents that he was giving me, I was like always curious about how he was making that presents, and as well, always asking questions. Then when I was in the high school is when the IT field started to be like booming. And I remember that I had my first subjects, and my teacher at that point, he was like highlighting that I was really good on that. And he suggested to go in that direction. This is how I started to like address my career on that. I studied a bachelor in computing and computer science and management. And then I was doing a master's degree in computer engineering. And actually, I didn't stop learning, because even if I have like 11 years of professional experience, I am currently now doing my second master. In this case, it's going to be in information systems here in Chicago. So as you can see, it's not only that you keep working, and especially in computing, that the technologies are changing every day, and everything is like being growing faster. You need to catch up every day with all the technology. So it's I consider that you should keep learning, and no matter what you are doing, even if you keep working. And so after my studies, what I did, I was working like a couple of years in Spain. And basically it was in private company, which I didn't really enjoy it. I really like, as I say, being always researching and being always making myself questions. So this is why I decided to apply at that moment in another laboratory, which is located in Switzerland. So I was finishing my master over there, and I decided to apply for like an internship to do my master thesis project there. And I was selected. I was working in this laboratory, which is called CERN during during 8 years more or less, because after my internship I stayed there, and I was for the course of these years I was working in different things, like basically in software engineering, but as well I was working as a database administrator, and then as a DevOps, which is a combination between development and operations, which I really enjoyed. And yeah, I think that to have this diversity in my background, it made me think to have a really open mind. And the fact that I was always working in an international environment with different cultures made me more curious. This is why then I applied to Fermilab. And since the past 2 years, as I said, I was working here. So at that moment when I came here, I was working with Marco. So he already explained the project that we've been working. And recently, well, not recently, like for the past 3 or 4 months, I changed the group now, and I'm working in storage, which basically it's in charge of like archiving and like taking care of all the scientific data that is being developed or it's going to say consuming by the scientists, right? And right now I'm working in a specific system which is basically moving a huge amount of data between different storage systems. And basically my work is to research, to improve the system by applying new technologies. This is how the computer science is working. And it's like how to apply new technologies and how to solve problems based on applying different computer resources, or how to improve the systems itself. And my basic, my daily basics usually it's like researching, giving support to our users, which are the scientists all around the world. And I have a lot of meetings as well, especially with CERN, because as we say, this is international environment and collaboration. And yeah, it's something that I really enjoy. As I say, I really love like work in an international environment with people from different countries and as well from different collaborations. And the good thing is that you are learning something new every day, which is something important. And as well, if you are restless and curious, this is really important. So I think that that's, as Marco say, you should always enjoy what you are doing, because then you are not gonna work anymore, and you are gonna be always happy to do whatever that we are doing right now. And especially never stop learning. As I say, for example, in my case that I'm doing another master, it's you always need to keep learning, especially now with the technology. And I think that's everything from my side. So I'm gonna give now the word to David.
Hey everyone, hi students, teachers. I'm Dave Schuler. I'm a data dissemination specialist with the U.S. Department of Commerce, Bureau of Census. I am one of 20 in an organization of about 17,000, although now with 2020, we're about 300,000, who I engage citizens and connect them with Census Bureau information from business, economic, to demographic, to trade. I work across all sections, all divisions and departments in the Bureau to get information out there and get people connected to it. It's a the high quality data helps people with business plans, grants, opportunities, and critical decision making. My best thing is if I can say, I provided somebody the how to get to the information, the marketing. They did the sale because they used it to make a decision. I am based in St. Charles, Illinois, and I do outreach to citizens in North Dakota, South Dakota, Nebraska, Minnesota, and Iowa, among my core, but I go all over the nation and get to talk to people, okay? The Census Bureau is currently in the throes of the 2020 enumeration. Article 1, Section 2 of the Constitution states, all persons shall be counted. Well, all persons being the definition at the time. It has been changed since the original Constitution, but it means all persons who live in the United States, regardless of citizenship We're a government statistical agency, not a law enforcement agency. And the reason for the all persons shall be counted was for purposes of apportionment. So it decides who, how many congressmen a state is going to get. Then it's up to the states to figure out how they want to make their districts. Okay, the first census was completed in 1790, and it, in addition to figuring out the apportionment of Congress, it provides data to allocate billions of dollars to communities in the U.S. and its territories. Please encourage your parents or your guardians to fill out the census at 2020.gov. The more that people respond to that, the less it's going to cost us Americans. Prior to joining the Census Bureau, I'm an entrepreneur at heart. I own my own IT business, had a consulting practice, and was very active in my local Chamber of Commerce. I've worked in IT infrastructure engineering for global corporations like GE and DuPont. I've also been a executive management role on an enterprise team for a transportation and logistics company, as well as a technical manager at Spyglass, internet pioneer who brought the Mosaic code from the University of Illinois to what has become Internet Explorer. Okay. I earned an MBA from Keller Graduate School of Management, a BS in Electronic Systems from Southern Illinois University. I'm a Marine Corps veteran with 10 years of active service to our country, and working for the government, I continue to serve. I'm the father of 4, or a grandfather of 5, so I can definitely empathize with people who are in school. My STEM journey started early in grade school. I liked math. It was cool. You figure out things. In my senior year of school, I was both a popular jock and a closet nerd. Yes, chicks dig nerds. I had so many directions to go when I was getting ready to leave high school. Could have went on to ROTC, college on a football and wrestling scholarship, the U.S. Naval Academy I had candidacy to. The sky was the limit. Then one February day, a Marine recruiter called me and caught me on the right day to talk about Marine officer programs. Then in the next few days, I actually enlisted in the Marine Corps to get away from all the stress, the sports, the grades, the girlfriends. And he knew that I was too smart and too ambitious to be a grunt. He himself was a grunt, my recruiter. So he got me an enlistment bonus into electronics. 2 years later, I finished the Marine's toughest electronics schools. Halfway to the degree, 2.5 years later, a Marine by day, student by night. My STEM trajectory calculated not only a detailed, calculated not by a detailed plan, but by the flow and ebb of the cosmos and a firm belief that the universe will lead me to where I need to be. This is the funnest day of my life. And I'm going to tell you, students, that the Census Bureau engages some of the most intelligent, world-class mathematicians, statisticians, social psychologists, demographers, geographers, and IT engineers in the world. And we are the epitome of big data in all areas of the U.S. economy. There's a place here for STEM expertise. Thank you, and now I'll pass it on to Sarah.
All right, thanks so much, Dave. Hey, everybody. Hopefully you can hear me okay. Yeah, I'm really excited to be here. So my name is Sarah Qualis, and I am currently an experience designer at Slalom Build. I'm actually repping a little bit of a Slalom Build swag today. Yeah, so we're a modern technology and consulting company where we build modern technology, you know, anywhere from small like web application, mobile applications to huge enterprise level software. And very much like the panel here, again, I was kind of always, I just was sort of always one of those really curious kids that I just wanted to learn about everything. And I always was torn between a career in the arts and the sciences. So especially like in high school, I always split my time between, you know, AP Chem and Bio and also fine arts classes like painting. So when I was choosing my career and what I wanted to major in, I decided to go more the science route, actually. I was actually a biochemistry major first at the University of Illinois in Urbana-Champaign. And yeah, as I went through my majors, I started taking electives in arts, and I just realized that's really where my true passion lied. So I ended up switching my major and going more of the fine arts route. So I actually have a traditional graphic design degree. So again, really focused on the visuals. So kind of going back to like actual experience design, that actually was not a field. That was not even a thing when I was going through school. There was actually not really a place for necessarily arts or visual arts, really, or they didn't have a seat at the table in technology at that point yet. So again, if high school me would have known experience design was an option growing up, I definitely would have pursued that route. So, but yeah, essentially what I do is, as an experience designer, again, we'll get into more, there's a lot more to it. It's more complicated than this, but at the end of the day, my job is to make technology really easy to use. So, and again, using, my background in visual design and even the sciences as well, applying research to creating not only easy to use solutions for technology, but also things that are really fun and enjoyable. So yeah, so after school, started a really traditional route. I was an art director, so again, really heavy focused on the visuals because that's just where design was at the time, focusing on print design work. I worked for just about every type of agency or company under the sun. I tried, small boutique design firms, worked at large corporations, and decided I kind of transitioned into user experience mid-career and worked for a small studio in Chicago for a while, and realized, a lot of studios were really focusing on very specific technology at the time, and I just knew there was so much out there, and being sort of the lifelong learner that I am, I really wanted to, get my hands on and try different technologies and ways to build and way to design products. So I actually started my own small business, and I was working very closely with some software developers and some content writers as well, and did that for about 5 years actually. And during that time, I was very fortunate. I got to work with some really cool customers like Amazon and Google, and got to design some really cool products for a really large group of audiences. And at that time, I just realized it was so exciting to be able to use design to impact such a large amount of people and solve some really complex problems. So I realized the small scale I was for my company, I just needed to kind of get into a larger company that had the support where I could really, again, get my hands on a lot of different industries, really big, and solve big, meaty problems. So that's why I actually went to join Solve & Build. So get to work on a lot of cool large enterprise level projects, I'm constantly working with multidisciplinary teams. I'm working with engineers, project managers, again, content specialists, and most importantly too, just our users, our customers that are using these products day to day. So yeah, that's about it for me here. And I think I'm the last one on the panel, so I think I'm kicking this back off to Susan and Nikki.
All right, thank you so much. Awesome. Thanks so much. So what I'm going to be doing is starting to ask you guys a few questions. And just a reminder, just some housekeeping notes. If you guys have a question, we can use the raise hand feature, or if you like to just simply raise your hand, I can definitely see that as well. So my first question to start off has kind of a two-part, but I will not give it to you at the same time because I know that can be very challenging to follow. But what I thought extremely interesting was that each of you guys did share how this wasn't a linear process for you guys. Like in high school, you started off with one thing and you didn't just stick to that. You found some forks in the road, you dabbled in a little bit of this, but it wasn't like you rolled out of bed and said, I'm gonna be this, and that was the exact plan. And I think for some of our high school students, they think that that's how it goes, is that you guys woke up and you decided exactly what you were gonna be, and sometimes they struggle with those challenges. So my first question is, when you finally decided that you were going into the field, what surprised you, or what do you wish you knew about the field when you got there? So who's the first person like to take that one? Anybody? Dave, go ahead.
I'll bite.
Nice.
Gosh, when I first got into, well, the field, because my background is so varied, the thing that surprised me the most was the opportunities were endless. Even during the 80s and early 90s, when corporate America started, imploding itself and downsizing everything, there were still amazing opportunities out there that have never stopped. And I don't foresee them stopping.
Absolutely. Anyone else like to take a shot? Joe?
Yeah, I just kind of echo that, and just the I guess the most surprising thing to me was that there is not just, my field is actuary, there's not just one type of actuary. There's so many different types of actuaries, so specialties within a field, and there's new ones coming all the time. Like over the last year or two, I've had a lot of I've led the SOA's efforts with InsurTech, and InsurTech is a word that didn't exist when I was in college, and now it's this whole huge field. Imagine all the Silicon Valley startups and all that kind of stuff going on. It's a really hot, exciting new thing, and the main reason I got to be involved with it is my mind was open to the possibilities, and I guess the advice I'd give people is to be open-minded and also do things that put you a little bit past your comfort zone. If you always stay in a comfortable box, you're going to always stay in that box. So do some things that are maybe a little harder than you think you can handle, but you're going to surprise yourself and be able to do it.
Awesome, great. I think that's like an awesome segue to my second part of my question was, are there any classes or skills you wish you have taken in high school or acquired in college that would have been really helpful for you in your job now? Like a certain high school class, or maybe even joined a group, or or something like that that would have been kind of helpful, maybe remove some of those bumps in the road?
Yeah, well, I mean, for one thing, I never took an actuarial science class, so that might have been helpful as an actuary. But advice-wise is, as important as the classes are, and I bet there's a lot of good answers from this group of classes they would have liked to have taken and things like that, but I think your experiences outside the classroom are almost just as important, whether it's clubs or sports or theater, arts, whatever, all those things. The skills themselves may or may not be important depending on what you do, but the ability to work with others, work as a team, develop leadership skills, all those quote unquote soft skills, they're important even in STEM. Maybe even more so. Being able to communicate well is important, and you get a lot of that outside the classroom, I think.
Sure. Dave, go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say, from my perspective, I wish in high school I hadn't took physics, calculus, and chemistry at the same time while trying to do football and wrestling. That was horrible on my brain and my body, and still have a life. But I did it. I survived. It's been the funnest job of my life.
Marco, did you have anything to share?
Yes. So in my case, the career track in Italy, it's fairly set. So you don't have a lot of eligible classes in high school. And even in college, the things that you can select are very little. Once you pick something like computer engineering, it's pretty much set which classes you have. And in general, something that's missing, I think, it's a little bit what was mentioned about soft skill. That could go also with, I don't know, even time management or organizing the things or dealing with groups and meetings and with people, all these skills that you are left a little bit on your own to learn and
absolutely
usually develop in a long time.
Wonderful. Great. All right. So so in any of you guys' jobs, are there typical times in either the season or parts of the year that you feel like your job is very different than a typical workday? So are there certain peaks and valleys within your industry that maybe a student wouldn't necessarily suspect? Anything?
Well, the short answer is yes, there can be. It goes back to what I said, that there's not just one kind of actuary. So there are particular kinds of actuaries that have busy seasons, and then there's others that it's maybe more consistent throughout the year. It's one of the pleasant aspects of that surprise for me is you can decide kind of not just what type of actuary you want to be in terms of the subject matter, but also what you want your work-life balance to look like. You know, do you want to travel a lot or not? Do you want to have a busy season or consistent through the year? Like, you have a lot of, you can kind of engineer your career to address some of those issues. And I guess, yeah, that there could be some kind of actuaries that would have a busy season like that.
Lorena, do you happen to notice anything as it relates to computer science that might kind of be fluctuated by even like market trends or anything like that, that you kind of notice that impact your daily day or even your industry?
Can you repeat the question, please?
Sure, absolutely. So as far as like in the computer science like area, do you feel like there's times or even environmental like issues that happen or even market trends that happen that affect you when it comes to like computer science?
Yeah, obviously, because as I was explaining, like the technology is growing and it's changing faster. So basically, my day is changing all the time. You know, I need to adapt all my systems to the new technologies. I need to constantly do researching. I need to push myself out of my comfort zone and try to see if you know my system is robust enough, or if I need to look for and find out a new way of improving the system or the performance itself. And especially now with the cloud, all the new cloud applications, cloud technologies, obviously this is changing faster and faster. So yeah, my answer is
absolutely. Absolutely. Sarah, I thought that was a really great point that you made about how the graphic design and all of that's like changed so much. What would you say, even in the last like 3 to 5 years, what's been the biggest change that you've noticed?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, our mediums have completely shifted.
Okay.
Yeah, so the biggest thing I've seen too is designers now, you know, traditionally have, you know, haven't had to be so fluid across different mediums, and now we've had to adapt a lot quicker, and we have to keep adapting a lot faster as well. And one of the other things that I found too is a lot of designers now, there's an interesting like cross section between development and being a designer as well, which was something that was never a thing in the past. But oh, go ahead, sorry.
No, I was just going to ask you, can you speak to that a little bit? I'm not sure our students would kind of understand like what's the difference between those two.
Yeah, so, you know, there's definitely a space for very clear delineations kind of between the two, but now we're finding that there are a lot more, designers that actually, to really understand the medium that you're designing for, have to understand a little bit more about modern web especially, and how sort of developers build sort of those, you know, what we call the front end of different products and applications. So we do have to a little bit more versed in the technology side, which is something, again, definitely didn't have even going through college. So.
Right. If I was a student and I let's say I really liked graphic art, graphic design, but maybe I feel like, oh, well, I work a lot better with, you know, pencil or, you know, more of like a fine art medium. How would I potentially translate those skills into more of the digital forefront if, like, you know, I enjoyed both of those? Like, do you see that in your own job field?
I do actually, and actually there's a really, that's a really important skill to still have and actually bring over into more of the, like, again, into digital products, because right now because we're constantly being, bombarded with new products and tools and software and applications, there's this increasing need to make the tools that we use every day more human. So actually by having a little bit more of that kind of fine art, like if someone works more in those traditional mediums, those actually help to translate and make technology, again, a little bit more human and a little bit more fun and easy to use.
Awesome. How are we doing on time?
I think we have time for maybe one more question from a few people.
Awesome, great. So my next question kind of goes along the lines that I had asked Ms. Sarah. What skill do you see completely changing your industry potentially in the next 5 years, in which our high school students might be interested in entering your field? So what do you see now as far as the skill set that might be in very high demand that they could actually take advantage of while they're in school now? Lorena, I see you might have an idea for us. Anything that you notice? Oh, go ahead, Dave.
Yeah, so the skills that are really in demand, one of the things that pops in my head is along Sarah's line, it's Tableau and visualizing data. It's telling a story through data in a medium that most people understand. There's always those people who can look at a spreadsheet and, you know, be able to see the picture of the numbers. Well, people like me can't do that. Show me a picture, it speaks 1,000 words. So we're doing a lot of work with companies like Tableau to bring that in. We're doing a lot of work on the developer side, where we're getting people to use our APIs, application program interfaces, to pick our data and pull it into their programs. And it's just amazing. So all of those areas are growing and opening. Our only downside, I will say, is that being part of the government, we're in a one-year budget cycle. And sometimes that makes it tough to continue programs on from year to year. But if you think about it, when I was in private industry, it's kind of the same way. You know, you get a new CEO, and all of a sudden instead of going for the Malcolm Baldrige Award, you're trying to get ISO compliant for manufacturing.
Right, absolutely. Wonderful. All right, great. Well, thank you so much to the panel. We really appreciate your time and your expertise that you shared with us at this time. Did we get it up? Awesome. So for those of you watching, we hope you have found this panel interesting and inspiring. I know I have. There's a lot of stuff that I absolutely learned today. But just in case, you may follow up on the website to ask any more questions that were not addressed today of a specific person or career, or pose a question to the group of professionals. The question form is available on the same page as the video, and watch for the 2021 in-person STEM Career Expo at Fermilab in April of 2021. And all of our videos can be found here at this website. Again, thank you so much for joining us, guys. We did an awesome job. Take care.